Tonight, a workshop aims to bring peace to a grieving community.
It's obviously affecting my family and myself quite deeply. Just looking at what's happening.
Palestinians here in the GTA come together to recharge and support each other while honoring lives lost. Plus,
but we believe that it's possible to mitigate the risk without having to displace people from their home.
While the City of Toronto continues clearing a Kensington Market encampment, advocates step in to support residents living there. And
the performances are going all right through until 11 o'clock. The rink is open too, so please bring your skates and come down.
Toronto getting into the holiday spirit with lights and lanterns illuminating Nathan Phillips Square.
This is CBC Saturday News.
It's been a long 7 weeks for people around the world affected by the Israel-Hamas war. Many have spent a lot of time and energy making their voices heard. Today, a group of Palestinians and supporters are gathered in Mississauga to take a moment to recharge and focus on healing. Sarah McMillan reports.
At the Tawhid Community Center, today is all about coming together. There are smiles and hugs and laughter as a grieving community finds support from each other.
To be around each other, affirm our experiences, affirm our knowledges together, and also to see each other and acknowledge our pain and our grief.
Today's event features speakers, vendors, entertainment, and workshops for all ages, from making art to healing circles led by therapists and counselors. It's something that's needed, organizers say, after watching the Israel-Hamas war unfold from afar for the past month and a half.
Personally, I've lost 25 members of my family. My mother's extended family has lost their entire homes. They're displaced. Over 50 members of the family is displaced without a home, and they're homeless, living in the streets. And so we know that our community is going through so much grief and so much anger and so much hurt.
Noura Sharab says it's been hard to find time for herself.
When I go to protests with my family, I'm there all day. We're exhausting our mental energy, our physical energy. And so it's really important for us to recharge.
This expert says finding community support is vital. He says children are especially vulnerable, but even adults with good coping strategies will face a great deal of stress.
Finding people who are similarly impacted and sharing our feelings and recognizing that our feelings are not unique to ourselves, but in fact universal, can make the carrying of that burden somewhat lighter.
Many here today say they will be back out protesting soon, adding their voices to calls for a full ceasefire.
I always say what motivates me is if my children ask me 10 years down the line, Mama, what did you do when children were getting killed in Palestine, in Gaza? What did you do? So now I can say, I went to every protest, peacefully protested. I talked to, TV to tell them who we are, what's happening.
But today offers a brief reprieve. Sarah McMillan, CBC News, Mississauga.
In Ottawa, thousands gathered today on Parliament Hill in support of Palestine. Demonstrators say this was a national march with the goal of sending a strong message to the Canadian government.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! That people from all across Canada, from Ontario, from Quebec, from British Columbia, have flown, driven, or carpooled here to make it to the capital of Canada in front of Parliament Hill to send a message to Justin Trudeau and all of our elected officials.
It sends the message that we won't stop, and we demand a ceasefire, and we won't stop until we get that and until our people are safe and able to live in their home and their land like they should be, just like everybody else has the right to.
Organizers say they expect this protest to be one of the biggest ones so far across the country. 60 rabbis also traveled from New York and Montreal to show their support. At Gaza's border with Egypt, the truce saw aid entering at a heightened pace. More fuel trucks passed through the crossing. Yesterday's convoy was the largest since the war began, but aid remains far below pre-war levels, and today saw long lineups. The war has an estimated 1.7 million people in Gaza displaced. The Israeli military says 13 Israelis and 4 foreigners have been freed in the second round of hostage releases. Hamas has delayed the release by several hours, accusing Israel of violating the terms of the temporary truce. Idil Musa has the details.
It was a sight many had prayed for weeks. Israeli hostages and imprisoned Palestinians back in the arms of their families. Hamas was expected to swap more of its hostages Saturday for Palestinians held in Israeli prisons. But what was meant to be a second day of exchanges turned into a tense standoff.
إن الذي يتحمل مسؤولية إفشال هذا الاتفاق.
Hamas spokesperson Osama Hamdan accused Israel of violating the terms of a temporary ceasefire agreement by firing on Palestinians during the truce and not allowing enough humanitarian aid into the besieged territory of Gaza. Israel denies violating the agreement, but mediation by Qatar and Egypt has turned things around.
This pause was designed to get our people out, and that for us is obviously the priority, but also to provide a situation where food and medicine and water and fuel could go into the Gaza Strip.
Humanitarian groups are hoping much-needed aid will continue to flow into Gaza.
These trucks entering and not entering is the difference between life and death. They lack medical equipment, they lack medicine, they lack staff. And even in ordinary circumstances, that would not be enough. But considering the number of serious injuries and the transfer of people who are wounded from the north to the south, these hospitals are struggling terribly.
Hamas is set to release at least 50 Israeli hostages and Israel 150 detained Palestinians during the 4-day truce. Israel says the truce can be extended an extra day for every additional 10 hostages freed. Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
Ontario Liberal members began voting for their new leader today. Members have today and tomorrow to cast their votes at polling stations across the province. Using a ranked ballot, they'll be choosing between Bonnie Crombie, Yasser Naqvi, Nate Erskine-Smith, and Ted Hsu. The results will be announced on December 2nd. Advanced voting for a vacant seat at Toronto City Council started today. Residents in Scarborough Southwest Ward 20 will be selecting from 23 candidates vying to replace former councillor Gary Crawford.
Last time, less candidates.
Would you say, Paulina?
This time is more.
I feel like there's a lot of competition, for sure. A lot of people have a lot of hopeful campaign promises that I hope they fulfill.
Eligible voters can cast their advance ballots today and tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 2 designated locations. Election Day is on November 30th. The Cavalcade of Lights kicks off tonight at Nathan Phillips Square, people gathering for the official lighting of the Christmas tree. That's happening later this hour. Organizers say the event has changed since the pandemic.
It used to be a one-night event where we turned the light on the Christmas tree and we played music, and that was it. And during the pandemic, we were able to we weren't able to bring people together for a performance, so we decided we would put up lighting installations that people could experience for a much longer period of time to allow people to come and go and be a bit safer during, COVID times.
The festivities run until 11 p.m. Road closures are in effect in the area, so plan accordingly if you're heading downtown. The Cavalcade of Lights will be illuminating Nathan Phillips Square until January 7th. This now for a first look at the forecast, and people will want to bundle up if they're heading to the square tonight.
And the park is feeling like -5 as we head into the midnight hours tonight, but at least it's dry. We have some snow showers heading into parts of the province as we speak, along parts of the Bruce Peninsula and even into southwestern Ontario. A sign of some of the winter weather that could come this week. A weekend, there's a lot of festive events. Santa making many appearances as we speak around parts of southern Ontario and Flamborough and Thorold, in Ajax this hour as well, and throughout the weekend, of course, we have the big Santa Claus parade happening in Toronto and in Milton and in Twislanch for Sunday, along with plenty of snow on the ground for some of you in the traditional snow belts. This was just a couple days ago in the Wasaga Beach area, but when could Toronto see its first real snow? Here's what's waiting in the wings. We'll have more on this long-range story coming up at the end of the show. A Colorado low and an Alberta clipper could bring snowfall dangerously close to the GTA and bring potentially large amounts of snowfall in the form of lake effect snow through midweek for some of the traditional suspect regions around the Georgian and the Huron shores. I'll have all those forecasts and totals for you. And the long range forecast, we'll also talk about our snowless November. When did we see 2 centimeters of ice pellets? And how much could we see this upcoming work week? All of that coming up, Talia.
Thanks, Sophia.
You're welcome.
The city is clearing an encampment outside a College Street church, saying multiple fires in the camp have made the area unsafe. But advocates say that bylaws are being used to push people off the streets and that more support is needed for people experiencing homelessness. Patrick Swadden explains.
This was the scene Friday night outside St. Stephen in the Field on College Street as city staff worked to clear an encampment outside the church, citing fire risks.
But we believe that it's possible to mitigate the risk without having to displace people from their home.
Maggie Hellwig says people have been living there for over a year and a half, but after 3 fires at the encampment, the city says it's an immediate public safety risk. A few blocks south, a large fire erupted this morning at a Bellevue Park encampment. Police say nobody was injured, but the area lost power. This housing advocate says we should focus on fire safety, not camp evictions.
If the encampment concern was really around fire safety, then address the fire safety by providing resources, providing education, supporting people.
Lamb says the city should put into place recommendations from a 2018 inquest after a 49-year-old homeless man died after a fire consumed a small wooden shelter he was living in,
which recommended to the city that they provide fire-safe equipment to people, so safer camping stoves, fire-retardant tents, blankets, and they've never actually done that.
The city says they won't evict anyone without providing an option of shelter, which they've offered to those living outside the church. But McNally says there's a bigger problem.
A lot of people who've gone into the shelter system have been assaulted there. They've been sexually assaulted. They've had their things stolen.
She says a more tailored approach is needed that prioritizes safety. As of this afternoon, the city tells CBC 9 people accepted offers of shelter. Arturo Garcia says he was offered shelter out in Scarborough.
There's nothing for me out in Scarborough. I sell vintage costume jewelry, so I need to be within the city area.
He says he has no familiarity with Scarborough, and all the wraparound resources he accesses are downtown.
If they offered you shelter like closer to this area, would you take it?
I told them that, yeah, find me something in the area.
Advocates say evicting encampments will continue to simply displace residents, and the city should focus on more permanent solutions. Patrick Swadden, CBC News, Toronto.
It's the final weekend of the Para-Pan Am Games in Chile. The Canadian men's wheelchair basketball team took home the bronze medal with a victory today against Argentina.
What a battle Argentina have given them. Oh Canada, oh my. They have taken the bronze medal in an epic in Santiago.
Canada beat Argentina 70-62 in the bronze medal game. With the victory, Canada keeps their Paralympic dreams alive. They will play in a last chance qualifier in April, with the winner heading to Paris. And Canada reached the podium several times yesterday. Devin Haru has the details from Santiago.
Throughout the competition here at the Para-Pan Am Games in Santiago, Chileans have soaked up the excitement, and that was the case on Friday night here at the wheelchair basketball venue. American and Canadian players being celebrated by the fans after a riveting gold medal game. The United States coming out on top, claiming the title and punching a ticket to Paris, 62-56. The final score. But for much of the game, the Chilean crowd cheering for Canada, and the Canadian player Aaron Young appreciated it.
You have a full stadium chanting Canada, and they're rooting for you from the bottom of their heart for you to win, and it just means the absolute world to us as Canadians that we have another country that's on our side rooting for us.
So disappointment for the Canadian women's wheelchair basketball team, but celebration for the Canadian women's goalball team, beating the Americans 4-3 in a back and forth battle. It marks the first time the Canadian women have won gold at the Para-Pan Am Games, and they punch their ticket to the Paris Paralympics. What a scene it was when the final buzzer sounded. Celebration for the Canadians, and I spoke with Amy Burke about what it all meant after the game.
This team has worked so hard, so hard. The Americans brought it, oh my gosh, but you know, we hung on, and it was our game. We waited for them to make mistakes. They made crucial penalty errors, and we capitalized on it. Solid team effort, man. The bench was awesome. The court was awesome. There's not much to say. We left everything out there.
Just a couple of days left of competition here, and then they'll extinguish the cauldron to end the 2023 Para-Pan Am Games here in Santiago. Team Canada, 135 athletes strong, winning 40 medals to this point, hoping to add to the tally before the end of the Games. For CBC Sports, I'm Devin Haru in Santiago.
Turning now to some international stories. Russian drones hit Ukraine's capital this morning, the largest strike officials say since the war began. It started before dawn. Warnings continued for 6 hours. Officials say 71 drones were launched. They say most were shot down, but that debris caused damage across the city. 200 buildings lost electricity and 5 people were injured. Mechanical failure has hit India's rescue effort for workers trapped in a collapsed highway tunnel, and it's unclear how long the delay will be. The tunnel caved in November 12th. The cause remains unclear. A heavy drill has been working through 60 meters of debris, but it was damaged yesterday being moved. 10 to 15 meters remain. The 41 workers are receiving supplies through a shaft. Across the province, there's no shortage of events as we kick off the holiday season, from Santa Claus parades to tree lightings and Christmas markets. This market taking place at the Toronto Botanical Garden. The team there is kicking off their winter programming with a festival called Winter Blooms. I had a chance to speak with the Director of Learning about what people can expect.
Right now we're in the Floral Hall at the Toronto Botanical Garden, where we have some of our many vendors for the winter holiday market. We also have another hall with more vendors, and we'll have some outdoors. There's about 120 of them over the course of our 2 weekends.
And so this is all part of Winter Blooms.
Yep.
What's some of the other programming that people can expect this weekend?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. We have a wonderful event for kids. It's a drop-off program. Parents can drop the kids off, do some shopping, and then their kids are going to make a sustainable gift for someone that they love in their lives. So that's something that they can take home with them after. We also have a terrarium building workshop, a cocodema ball, which is this incredible clay ball filled with moss and a plant on it, and you can actually hang them around your house. They're really cool.
So there's a lot of holiday events happening all across the GTA, but what would you say to encourage people to come out to this specific event?
This event, I think what makes it really special is all the different parts of the event are unique, memorable, and sustainable. We really try to keep that as a theme for all of our programs. So the programming that we offer is something you can do with somebody as part of a gift, or it's a really lovely sustainable gift that you can take home and give to someone for the holidays.
And so this runs until December 17th?
It runs until December 17th. So we have 2 weekends of the holiday market, a circus, and throughout the whole time we have our terrarium, we have programming to attend, and our installation by Amanda McCarver.
And so some of it is outdoors and some of it is indoors?
Absolutely. We even have a fire pit to warm up outdoors.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
And in the holiday spirit, the annual Stuff-A-Bus is back.
Over 50 volunteers across the city of Brampton, and what they're doing is they're trying to stuff a school bus full of non-perishable food items to give back to the community. In a time of when a lot of folks are looking for hope and positivity, this is our way of telling our community that we care.
5 grocery stores, along with volunteers in Brampton, are part of this project. The goal is to help those who are struggling to put food on the table this holiday season. The proceeds will go to the Regeneration Food Bank. And there's a live shot of Nathan Phillips Square as the cavalcade of light celebrations continue. People waiting for the lighting of the city's Christmas tree, which is happening this hour. A cloudy evening expected tonight with a low of -2. Sophia's back now with our extended forecast. And how are the next few days looking?
Well, chill will be in the air. You'll need your Santa hat at any of the events. Hint, hint, like the parade tomorrow. What's that term? Don't rain on my parade. Well, rain will get heavier into the evening hours. But yes, we're expecting some showers for the Toronto Santa Claus parade. For tomorrow afternoon, about 5 millimeters. So not a ton, but you may need to bring the umbrella. Snow will be the story with this clipper coming in. Cottage country and north up along the Georgian shores, and maybe a bit of mixing along that 400 corridor through the Newmarket area. But what this quick and moisture-starved clipper will do is open up the floodgates for a multi-day lake effect snow squall story. Into midweek, some of the traditional suspect regions along the Georgian and the Huron shores could see upwards of 25 to 30 centimeters of snowfall. This is the real heavy hitter type snow squall event. We might even see a few centimeters inch dangerously close to the 401 corridor. We're talking about the potential of some dicey drives for Monday and for Tuesday. For any of your commutes, Monday along that 400 along the Georgian shores north of Barrie, the potential of whiteout conditions is there on the Huron shores as well. Into Tuesday as far south as Stratford, maybe even the Kitchener area, as that snow, those bands of oscillating snow could come down to the 401 corridor. But where are we not seeing any snow? Now, technically, we got about 2 centimeters of ice pellets on November the 8th, but many in the GTA are saying it's been a snowless November. This time last year, there was a big Great Lakes winter storm, and we've had Novembers in the past where we've got 60, 50, even 30 centimeters of snowfall. Not the case this November. It's been very warm. A pattern change coming, Talia, with cooler air, but still not a ton of snow on the horizon in the GTA anyways.
Thanks for that, Sophia.
You're welcome.
And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. You can stay caught up on news anytime on our website, cbcnews.ca. And we'll leave you with more views of a festive Nathan Phillips Square.